Here we go. Hello, everybody. This is The Cycle with Sophia Wren, and we have a guest today who is an amazing, beautiful, healing artist who draws her inspiration from nature. And you're going to meet Tanya. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Sophia Wren, and I work with writers and creators to help them make faster progress on their projects so they can get them out in the world and spread their message. And I'm so excited to share today about Tanya's work because I really admired it for some time, and it's been really cool to see things coming together on a daily basis. She has all these amazing things that she does, and we'll be sharing some of her work. We'll get to see her art and hear about her inspirational process. And I've named this interview series The Cycle because we all go through creative cycles in our life and in our art or our writing or whatever we work on. And although for each of us, we're going through a very unique and personal journey, we can draw inspiration from others. So she'll be talking about her inspiration and what she's doing, and it's sure to inspire you too. So I'm so excited to introduce you, and let me read a little bit about Tanya. She's a counselor in a community college and an inspirational photographer. She has worked in the human services field for 25 years. She is passionate and a strong advocate for the healing power of each individual's own learning journey. You can find her on Facebook, and I know she's also on Instagram, and we'll give you all that information right below this video so you can keep in touch and watch her work unfold. So Tanya, come say hi to everybody.
Hi. Hey, Brenton, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, and you can see some of the art behind Tanya a little bit on her beautiful shelf here. It's very cool. And I'm going to show everyone some pictures that you have done and sent me recently too. So
Sure.
We have this one, which I believe you've said you see a lion in it, right?
I see a sleeping lion. It's I put together a mirrored photo of trees with clouds, and I'm always surprised by what shows up in it. I took it as a reminder that even the courageous and bravest of us need to rest.
Oh, I like that. That's so cool. And you were telling me too that you like hearing about other people's what they see in it because we all have a different viewpoint. And someone had commented that they saw a man upside down, and it almost to me looks like kind of like a grasshopper, maybe.
Yes, I see that too. I think, and sometimes I look at a photo and I don't see it right away, and then a couple months later I'll look at it and I'll see something altogether different.
Cool.
So I guess they speak to us when we need to hear what they're saying, I guess.
Yeah, I like it. And it has a very calm feeling to it too.
And I think that's the hard part sometimes when you do photography is that there's this impulse to keep adding.
Right.
Like keep adding extra color and extra filters, and sometimes it's better to stop and just let the photo be.
That's a really hard line to find in a lot of art. I know that when I paint, I can definitely overdo it and then regret a few things that I've done. So
this was one of my most popular photos on Facebook. A lot of people shared it, and I think it's because I'm learning to make my photos brighter. And this to me looked like a woman standing there with her arms open, or an angel, depending on your perception. And it just felt like trust your intuition, because I think a lot of times, even though she's really faint, I can really feel her presence in the photo. So it was a message to myself too, to trust my intuition. When I look at a photo, what I see is what I see. And you may see something different when you look at the photo, and that's fine, because I think as in all healing work, it speaks to everyone differently.
Yeah. Where do you get feedback? You know, you said that it's one of your most popular ones. Where do people see it?
On Facebook. This one was shared probably about 10 times.
Wow, that is so
on other people's pages. Yeah.
How does it feel to know that your pictures are rippling out onto other people's pages and in the world?
surprising, amazing, and I'm very thankful because I create them to bring a healing voice to the world, and it's nice to know that people see that and experience that.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I want to show them a few more of your images. So we have, I think you said one of these is it's another one of those smushed photos. That's what I'm calling it. Two photos together of the water droplet.
That's a water droplet and clouds.
Wow.
So that's the Diana app. You can take two photos and put them together.
Oh.
And that one in particular, it just looks so calming when I looked at it. It looked like tranquility, and it looks like a little, almost like scroll-like words on the bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So for me, I found it very calming.
To me, it's like very heavenly.
Because I have a tendency sometimes to make my photos too busy, I think. Not on purpose, but just because it's that sense of enoughness sometimes in creative projects where sometimes we think we have to do more to be enough, but we don't really.
Wow, that's really deep. That is so deep. Yeah, I get a sense sometimes when I look at things and just, like I said, it was like a painting, like thinking like, oh, it needs something. There's all this empty space here. Like, what should I put here? Is it done yet? Yeah, it can be really hard to find that done spot. It's a really cool one. So let's look at one. It's a little bit more complicated. This one, wishes are magic, words are magic.
Well, I was in an ice cream shop and I'm taking a course about wishes with Hannah Marcotti. It's called I Wish. And so she wanted us to look through magazines for sayings that stuck with us. But when I saw Love It on the Wall, that's my wish, like to have a life and love it, or to be doing something and love it. And so then I thought, well, wishes are magic, but words are magic too, because for me, because I'm a writer too, I think sometimes words wake me up in the morning, they put me to sleep at night. I'm sure if I looked real close, they'd be etched in my skin. So for me, words are just pure magic. And when I saw Love It on the Wall, I had to just take a picture of it.
That's so awesome. And so you do all of this because you love it?
Yes.
When did you get started doing these sorts of projects?
The photos? Well, the writing I've been doing since I was 2, so I couldn't really tell you when I started that.
Wow.
My mother said I was never without a pencil and a piece of paper in my hand ever.
That's so cool.
The photos, what happened was my husband bought me a phone. And being technically inept, drastically technically inept, I took a picture. I tried to take a picture through the window because I saw something through the window that was really pretty, and I accidentally left a flash on. And the photo that I got was of this beautiful burst of light, and I thought, oh, what would happen if I did that on purpose? So then I started snapping photos of light, and 20,000 photos later, I still can't snap enough photos of light.
That's so cool.
Then it became photos of clouds and photos of... In Heart Lady, I belong to a writing group where we write what we call small stones, which is small pieces of writing, like 11 words or less, that help us be mindful. Mm. And I started posting pictures of heart clouds that I saw in the sky, and would say things like, a little poem with it. And they started nicknaming me Heart Lady.
Oh.
So that's where Heart Lady came from. I didn't come up with the name. It was given to me.
That's so cool. And did you always share with other people the photos that you were taking?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You're pretty out there with your creative process, I noticed.
I'm very extroverted.
Yeah.
Very extroverted. I don't think I know how not to share, if you know what I mean. I mean, I don't share what stories students tell me, but obviously as a counselor, but when it comes to the creative process, I guess for me it's a communal process. I read a quote once by on writing by, I think, Natalie Goldberg, Writing Down the Bones.
I've read it. It's a great book.
And she said, teaching is a creative process, but it's a communal process. And for me, art is a communal process.
Oh, cool. Oh, I love how you connected the writing and the teaching, because I definitely see you as a teacher.
You know, for me, if I go outside and I see a shadow on the ground that looks like a woman bringing forth spring, then to me, I know that there are millions of other people in the world who are embracing spring, you know. And then I think of my father right now lying in the hospital bed who would love to embrace spring, and he's stuck in a hospital bed. And if he was healthy, that he would be outside embracing spring. So I guess for me, as long as I can create and be well enough and healthy enough to do that, to me, it's about maybe that's my path to share that heart journey with others, right? To me, it's all about connectivity and heart, and you know how we're all connected by that little red thread or whatever you want to call it.
I love
I
that.
think I think my superpower is love, yes, but I also think it's connectivity.
I agree. All of those are superpowers of yours. And I remember we had a conversation where you also were talking about your vulnerability being a superpower.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's an extrovert's curse in a way, and bless introverts because I've learned a lot from them. But we speak before we think. We really do. And I think sometimes what happens for me is I create and I put a photo out there and I leap, and then 2 weeks later I think, ooh, that was pretty vulnerable. But you know, at that point, it's a little late. And then somebody learned from it, or somebody's thanked me for it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I was supposed to be vulnerable in that moment and feeling that in that moment because that connected somebody to their feeling of vulnerability. So,
Yeah.
like I was saying to you, I have some. I was like, this is an example. I was really, really angry when my mom died, of course, because not so much angry because she died, but angry because she was paralyzed and she lost so much of her life because of that, in a way. So I painted this painting called The Rhythm of Anger. Now I wouldn't send that as a print, like I wouldn't sell it as a print. But for me, I knew that I needed to get my anger out somewhere. I had to express it in a way that, you know, didn't involve hurting somebody or myself, right? And
Right.
so I think, you know, even those of us who are extroverted as artists, we have our introverted moments. I think we have to go when we're dry, when our wellspring is dry, and even though we know the wellspring's there and it's always been there, there are moments where I forget, or I get exhausted, or I get sick, or I feel doubt, or have some sort of internal crises. But I find if I go to that blank canvas and all I do is one stroke, you know, and then the next day I do another stroke, then somehow whatever is inside of me that needs to go gets out, and then I can go back to the business of creating what I want to create.
Oh, beautiful. So it helps. It just the process itself doesn't really matter what it looks like. It just helps to get everything moving.
And sometimes it's simple, right? Like this was just a bunch of paint drops on a piece of paper, and then it looked like happiness to me. So then I just took it as live happy.
Reminds me of the ocean.
Yeah. And I think what I did was I put some paint over here and then I did this. Because I'm always fascinated by what mirrors. This is just to help people know that, you know, some of this magic has behind the scenes stuff. Like Margaret Atwood said, you don't want to see me without my mask. So magic there has to be practices to the magic, right?
Yeah. And you've talked to me about how much synchronicity plays in your work too, that, you know, you'll go on a walk and then you'll see this cloud, you'll see the light over here, and, you know, that you don't always know what you're going to capture, and you are open-minded to how it unfolds.
Yeah, my friend and I are doing a meditation series. She does sound meditation and I do the word meditation. So I went for a walk one day while I was thinking about it. Do I really want to do this? And I walked right through a heart-shaped puddle.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, okay, I think that's a pretty clear message.
That is so cool. And you were saying too that you're talking about that balance between, being focused and then but not being too shut off from those little moments, the little miracles, the heart-shaped puddles and things, like having some space to see these cool things happen that you could never predict too.
And we can miss them too, right? Like the same day that I was at the ice cream shop, I get out of the car to pay for gas, and I looked down at my feet, and there was a water stain in the shape of a bear's face.
Oh wow.
I'm like, okay, we're people are we're watched over, we're loved, we're cherished, we're taken care of. Every moment isn't happy, but we get those reminders that we're not alone.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't really want to be alone in this big world, right? I want to know that behind the scenes there are lots of benevolent beings watching over us. That makes me feel better.
Me too. Me too, for sure. Yeah, just knowing I'm not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wonderful. And
Yeah.
speaking of not being alone, I did want to make sure that people in the audience knew that if you would like to have a personal work by Tanya, to have her create something for you, that is something that she's talking about doing. Do you want to say more about that?
Yeah, I'm one of the things that I really like to do for people is do a digital healing photo for them. So if they have a theme that's happening in their life, a specific color, something that they would like a picture of that they could keep, then I would like to offer a digital healing print. And I'm thinking of offering it for $9.99. But there'd be an opportunity for them to answer some questions for me so I get to exactly what they need. Because people tell me when they look at my photos, they feel healing energy from them.
I can attest to that. I think that people watching this probably, seeing this, a lot of the people who, get into my world are more sensitive to these things. And it's just looking at it, it makes me feel good. It's light. Like I said, I do follow you on Instagram. So when I'm looking at these different pictures, and yours pops up, it's like, oh, it always feels good. It's never like, oh, I don't really care about this. It's like, oh, it just says there's a nice little burst in my day. And so I definitely agree. There's something.
And I'm also happy to any of my photos at any time email me, and I'm happy to this is she. I don't know if you can quite see it. And
Ooh,
I couldn't recreate this. This was some sort of cloud that came out in the face of a woman. But
wow.
at any time, if you see a photo that you'd like a print of, email me. I'm happy to, you know, most of my prices are pretty reasonable, $10 or under for a print, as long as you're willing to pay shipping. I print them myself on beautiful glossy paper.
And your email is going to be in the replay description if people want to
This is
see that.
something I did for somebody. She wanted postcards for
Oh,
a art center that she worked at. So I did a series of You Are Loved, and they're on this is a sheet of 4. So that's the same thing. Like if you wanted postcards or healing cards, I'd be happy to do that for people.
yeah, I wonder. I know a few people who are working on Oracle card decks. So
Yeah.
if you need some art, you got a beautiful artist here. This is awesome.
So
Yeah. This is
that's me.
exciting. And you've been drawn to do this for a while now, right? The healing photos?
I'd say 3 years. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I
Oh,
think they chose me. I'm not quite convinced I chose them. I think they chose me, and I'm a light worker, so any opportunity to share light in the world makes my life better.
I love that. And I'm behind that 100%. I think that we we were saying how nice it is to know that we're being watched over and cared for by something outside of ourselves, something bigger, even if we have our hard times. And I think that there's not enough talk in about creativity as that collaboration, that we get a calling and we step into the calling, and that, for me, everything kind of feels better when I'm following that call to create. What about you? Does it make you feel better in your life?
I think I feel fulfilled. I also think that it reminds me not to push things,
Yeah.
because sometimes we get this, because we get a lot of pressure from society to push and force things. But I always use the expression that when we plant flowers in our garden, we don't keep digging them up to see if the roots are growing.
That's a great one. Could you say that one more time?
That when I plant flowers in my garden, I don't keep digging them up to see if the roots are growing.
Wow.
And for me, that's how the creative process works. I plant all these seeds. Some of them come to fruition. Some of them might be growing in somebody else's garden, and I don't even know, because you don't know what inspires someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them grow beautifully, and the garden may get taken by, like I planted a little tiny raspberry plant. It took over my whole herb garden, so now I do my herb garden in pots. And now I have all these raspberries. So I didn't know I was going to get raspberries, but now I have raspberries, you know? So I think you need to just go with it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that things organically flow, or as my father would say, it all comes out in the wash.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, and it's hard sometimes. It's hard sometimes not to plan every detail or push yourself. Sometimes you have to step back. Rest is a part of the creative process.
Thank you. I think that's something, like you said, our society doesn't tell us that we need to rest. And it's not just about the to-do list item of like, check, art done. It's so much more than that.
I wouldn't be able to do that anyway.
Yeah. It wouldn't have the same feeling, because I think that, like you were saying, your photos do have this healing nature to them, and probably one of the things that they're helpful in is, when I see them, I think they do help me to relax a little bit and to let go and to be receiving and receptive, and not gripping so tightly to those things that maybe have a deadline or something like that. Because if I'm on Instagram, I'm probably just trying to take a break for a minute. And I feel like when I encounter one of your pieces, it does give me a sense of peace, and it does help me with what you're saying of being in the flow and not pushing, and just like, oh, here's a different kind of energy. Here's something different than what society or whatever my mind is saying to do. It's like, oh, here's another
Well,
option.
that's absolutely awesome, because I'm going for being a healing presence.
Well, you're doing it. You're doing it, and now everyone is going to get to encounter your work. And so again, I just want to remind everybody that they can find you on Facebook. You put the link underneath your picture, so it's facebook.com/heartladyinspiration, and you can email her at caperpoet@gmail.com. And what's your name on Instagram, in case they're watching?
Tanya Levy. It might be Levy Tanya, but it's my name.
Okay, great. Yeah, if they search for your name, they'll find you.
Yeah.
And yes, and she has a beautiful array. So yeah, and I want to thank you for
I think
putting.
about 7,000.
Wow.
I surprised myself. I'm like, wow, I was busy. I think I'm a little bit like Schultz, you know, who created Peanuts, and he did cartoons because he had a little bit of OCD, and that's how he relaxed. I think that the photos help me relax, and if they benefit other people, well, plus plus, right?
Yes, I love that so much. Oh, thank you so much for coming today. It's been wonderful, and I just can't wait to hear from other people who see this, and to know that people might find you and go to follow your work, and maybe contact you for a personal photograph, because that is just so valuable, I know. And so thank you so much for coming to talk to us today.
Thank you, Sophia.
Yay! And we do have another round of the Sacred Writing Challenge coming up next month. Would you encourage anybody to join us for that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was, I always learn from you. You
Oh,
have a very, one of my hopes in life is to create more spaciousness, and you seem to do that with ease, create that spaciousness for the sacred.
Oh, thank you.
And I think your writing challenge is one more way you do that. So I think it was a beautiful way to spend a month. It was a month, right?
Yeah, about 3 weeks.
And it got me back to my writing, and it got me reconnected with the divine. So absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on it. And you know what? It's interesting how you put it, because, I feel like it is, because I have such a connection to maybe a feeling of loss or something, having a feeling of like something being missing, that I need that connection. And even if it's like the beauty of the divine is that it's not like a thing. It's not necessarily like a thing that I now have clutter in my life, that I have this thing, but it's just this feeling that fills the space, but it is very spacious too, and just makes everything else feel better. And it creates space in my mind, and then the inspiration for if I am writing or doing something, it just all
And
flows
then
back.
your beautiful heart.
You're beautiful heart too. I wonder if anyone watching can tell how much I love you.
Well, the feeling's mutual. I laugh because I never know how I find teachers. It's kind of like I never know how I create some of my photos. I told you that I look in that and I go, how did I do that? And one day I was just feeling kind of down and frumpy, and I got this little message. If you want to join our little hour talk on writing, come along. I'm like, oh, today? Great. So on I go to your webinar, and you were talking about the creative process and writing and how not to force it. And I'm like, yes, 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 exactly, exactly. And it's like it got me out of that frumpy place.
Yeah.
And then here you are, still in my life. So I think if we stay open to teachers, they appear.
Yeah. And I think of so much, well, I'm sure as a teacher that the process of being in that relational process, like you learn so much, and it reminds you of going full circle and back to the beginning, and we're always relearning what we're teaching, and it yeah, it's so humbling in a way too, and it's really
And I
cool.
think we teach what we need to learn. So I don't put my photos out there on the premise that I've got it all figured out,
Yeah.
because that is not true. I
Yeah.
put my photos out there on we're all on this journey together.
Yeah.
That
That
is my premise for everything I do. We are all on this journey together.
I love it. Well, that seems like that was a good spot to wrap up, and just so glad that we connected over the internet somehow and found each other, and now soul sisters, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in this together. So everybody watching, go check out Tanya's stuff, and contact her if you're interested in having a beautiful personal healing. And thank you so much for coming and all of your beautiful, beautiful inspiration. And so everybody watching, if you're new to my YouTube channel, just go ahead and subscribe if you like this show, and we'll have more inspirational interviews, and you'll also get more about the Sacred Writing Challenge in April, starting on the 16th, 2016. All of Tanya's information is going to be below this video, and you can go hunt her out now and go follow all of her stuff too. So thanks again, everybody. Let's say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.